Why? So let me know once it clicks on to broadcasting so that I can start my spiel.
It might be broadcasting now.
Does it say live at the top in red letters?
It says streaming live.
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to week 14 of Early Access in Savage Lands. As you can see, we are doing things a little bit differently this week because Uridium decided that he needed a holiday. Well, okay, let me be clear. Uridium's wife and 4 children decided, he does have 4, right? Yes, he does have 4. They decided that he needed a holiday, and he's actually been posting from his phone, and I keep wanting to email him and say, go away, but he will be back next week, and he will be joining us as usual. So, oh, I totally skipped my own introduction. GG me. So I am your community manager, Kitty Chicks. Hello, everybody. And through the interwebs over there, you can see our lead animator animating, or Nate. So yes, well, you've already said hello, but say hello, Nate.
Hello.
Jump the gun. So, yeah, so we're doing things a little tiny bit differently this week because Chris had to go spend some time with the family, which, you know, we all do. However, we've had some pretty neat things, and I'm just going to take a real quick moment here because apparently I didn't change the stream title. So, first of all, Nate is already in game, and do you remember what the game host is called, or the server is called, so people can hop on and join you right away?
I don't know, but I can. I think I can check.
You know how to? Do you remember how to check that? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the true test of a dev. Can they remember how to do stuff in their own game?
I do animating. Technical stuff is beyond me.
If you hit, go to your options and go to host options.
Yep. Is this not it right here?
Yeah. Well, remember, I'm seeing a delay. So, yes, what I am now seeing on stream is if you go to host options is correct.
All right.
All right. So, all right. So we're gonna get started while people actually join your server right now, and you get to go off and do something epic and awesome. And I don't know what that's going to be. I'm gonna do a quick recap on what it is that is coming in tomorrow's patch, and then we're gonna do. I have a few sneak peeks for update 12 that Uridium gave specially to me, which is awesome. And then of course we have a super awesome announcement that has nothing to do with patches and has everything to do with a contest where you guys can be immortalized within the game. So we're going to get to that in a little bit, and of course we will answer questions about animation, anything animating that Nate can answer, or that way Nate can answer. And I don't know, we'll probably even give away a few copies of Savage Lands because we love sharing Savage with all of you, our community, and your friends. So, I think we have a lot to get through today. And we actually started on time. See, I am going to blame Chris every week now because you don't even know how to run the streaming stuff, and you still managed to get here on time and start running. So
you see that? Yeah. That's just how Chris rolls, though. You know, Chris is on Chris time. He does his own thing.
Chris is indeed on. Oh! You are currently set to friends only. Go back to your thing. It changes back sometimes afterwards. So, ooh, and I just saw on stream that we have a bunch of goodies that we could even maybe give some away of.
There we go.
As we need to. All right, cool. Thank you for correcting that. So, while you were doing that, I should have been smart and pulled up my game update 11. Okay, so as I mentioned, we are on game update 11. It is currently in beta, and of course you can see the full review notes if you want to on Steam forums, but I'm actually going to go over them. So this is what we have coming in the update tomorrow morning. Well, hopefully tomorrow morning, as soon as it goes live. What with the Steam sale going on right now? By the way, if you haven't seen that, Savage Lands is 25% off right now during the sale, and the Steam summer sale does go until June 21st. That started this morning at about 10:30. So you haven't missed much. If you are just tuning in and you want to go and grab that, go for it. Like I said, we are 25% off. So it's a great time to get in. Like I said, we're going to be updating tomorrow. We're going to be including in that. We did a bunch of fixes as we always do. We did some work with the Mac performance as well. And Nate and several of our community members were absolutely instrumental in helping us test out those fun things. You just got a brand new Mac.
Yeah, I just went out and bought a brand new Mac, the newest one, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to play a little Savage Lands. And then it was crashing.
And then there was there were some color things that you helped Jackie resolve, I think.
Oh yeah, with the textures. That was interesting.
So if you do play Savage Lands on Mac and have been suffering from some of those crashing bugs, when you start your game or you can't actually get past the loading screen, with tomorrow's update, some of those will actually hopefully be resolved. We made some changes to the default settings, and as Mac improvements are made throughout the game, we'll be able to adjust that for you, and so you can continue to improve from that aspect, or improve your game graphics and be able to choose new options. Yes. Okay, we've also updated some colliders, which are going to help with the AI. So if you have experienced...
Just for the record, I've been bugging Chris about this for a while. Go ahead, sorry.
No, it's not a problem. You are not the only one who has been bugging us. We have definitely heard feedback from the community that this was a priority, and it was a priority for us as well. We knew that when we brought in AI 2.0 that there were going to be a couple of unintended consequences, and so part of what John has been working on for the last, since AI 2.0 released, was actually making sure that we were addressing some of those issues. So some of those issues are coming in update 11, and there will be even more changes and improvements made to AI with update 12. So stay tuned for that. One of the most noticeable things is right now is that if you're visible, they don't rubber band necessarily as much. Sean and I were testing, or Sean took me on a guided tour of Befallen's area last night, and we sat on a rock and watched a tortured skeleton run laps around this great big huge boulder. I'm like, oh, well, I guess that's a good way to become skin and bones. You just run off all your flesh and organs and...
maybe that's how he died.
Who knows?
Running forever. Nice.
Running in circles. That's got to be one of the circles of hell in Dante's Inferno. I don't know. Okay, moving on. One of the other things that was a sort of a quality of life improvement has been the introduction has been the increase of a bunch of materials. So things like rocks and sticks and bandages and cloth shreds and ores, they all stack much higher than they used to. A lot of them sort of topped out around 5 for stones. I think stones are now up to 15 and whatnot. So a lot of those have been upped. And of course, Chris decided to bow to the community's feedback and has increased log stacking to 2. To be clear, this is something that we are still testing. Oh, yeah. By the way, you now can carry 2 logs in 1 stack. So, yeah, it's great if you have nothing else in your bags but lumber. I'm not quite sure if he counts the fact that you have to have a hammer in there somewhere, but I don't know, maybe he figures you're going out in a pair and one person has all the axes and the other person carries all the bags full of lumber. I'm not sure. He is hesitant on this. It's in, but there may be further quality of life upgrades in the future where log stacking is no longer a thing because we have better options for you guys to keep and carry logs in. So stay tuned on that. This is him this is him bowing to peer pressure at this point. And I say bowing being what it is. We have a fun new load screen, which actually shows off Kerr on Argo's new tower. So it's got the new outline. You can tell it looks like a new dragon tower, which is actually the other thing. The dragon tower has stairs. You can't quite get all the way up there yet.
Ah.
But
I know Corbett's been working on that. I saw him over on his computer working on it. I didn't realize he got it in already. That's awesome.
So the dragon tower nearest Argo, which
So is this one right here?
yes, I'm not even
Well,
looking.
why don't we jaunt up that way?
All right, make sure Kerr isn't in residence because you will become a dragon crisp. Standing on the
That'll be
tower
fun.
does not exempt you from his aggro path. In fact, if you are on the tower, you are going to be a dragon crisp if the dragon comes by. Fair warning to everybody. I don't think you can actually run fast enough to get away, although I have not done extensive testing. I actually stood there and let him burn me to a crisp because I take great pleasure from
Just
that.
getting burned to a crisp? Awesome.
Which is, it's so much fun to watch the dragon dive bomb you, and then I'm like, oh, that's right, I can't actually survive more than 1 or 2 hits, and whatever. Okay, so moving on. Where was I in my list? Right. So the other couple of things that we've done is creature spawns around Argo have been rebalanced. We've removed some of the wolf spawns, or turned them down a little. Creatures in general have been rebalanced, but wolf spawns have definitely been lessened because they got really popular for a while. And then, of course, on cotton, when you hit a cotton plant, there is a greater rate of that, a chance of that being dropped. So, there you have it. That is what will be coming live tomorrow. Now, what you may have noticed from last week's stream to this week's stream is I skipped over item decay. And that is because when we were doing our testing this week, we identified a couple of really big bugs and we actually pulled item decay out. Now, that actually is going to be in place already for update 12. Chris has already resolved a bunch of the bugs. We just could not get the bugs fixed in time for it to go out this week. So that is the first item for the update 12.
There's the dragon.
Careful, careful. Okay, and while I just pull up tiny preview for update 12. Okay, so we've already talked about item decay, and of course, as Chris said last week, that is not meant to be a punitive system for you as a player. That is meant so that as your world gets filled up with junk items that you don't want, or don't wish to use, it will help us improve the game performance overall by getting rid of some of the stuff. And in phase 1, these items will affect food, sticks, decayed flesh, and dead torches, so torches that have burned out. It will not affect anything else, and it will be if the item has been laying on the ground for 40 minutes. The item will disintegrate into the nothingness of digital game world. We will, of course, be watching feedback. When we do have that released, we will probably do a dedicated topic like we've done previously for big system updates, because this is a system that we will want to gather your feedback about. And so when we get there next week, I will make sure that we have a pinned topic just for you guys on that. Okay, so that's the big one. I've already talked a little bit about the general AI improvements that John is working on. He's been doing, like I said earlier, he's been doing a ton of work dedicated to that. We've been gathering videos from the community and reports, and just everything has been sort of correlated and pushed over to him, and he's, taken his time picking through stuff and whatnot. And so Chris had this thing that he showed off probably a month ago, long before we ever got the idea of having torches in the house as a reality. He had this idea called a spirit orb, and this was the thing that floated around either in your hand or in front of you as a character. I'm not actually entirely sure how it has resolved, but in Update 12, you will be able to find spirit orbs and spirit shards. Now, I have no idea if a spirit shard combines to create an orb. He hasn't given me that much content and that much information about it. So y'all can go bug him when we get the full preview notes updated. I want to say over the weekend, but he is away, so it may actually be not until next week. Don't quote me on it. But once it's up, you can go and ask him for all of the information about that. So that right there is your Update 12 preview. So why don't we look at doing a couple of questions from the chat. I've seen me get tagged in things. And I will scrolling back up. Let's see. All right. Sorry. I'm going to actually take a quick drink while I scroll for questions.
There's an extra bag out there if anyone wants it.
Oh, yes.
It's got some stuff in there. If anyone who is playing wants to lead away to some the forest giants or anything, go ahead. Feel free to start leading the way.
Or you could head over towards the dragon tower nearest Befallen, which I kind of say, hey Marine, if you're listening to the stream, go take the lead and lead them to the Befallen dragon tower, and I'll explain why in a little bit.
Oh, someone's taking the lead somewhere. Maybe
well, that's
not.
Good. So Sir Nightingale just asked in chat, are there any plans to make us... Oop, I'm reading two different questions. Oh my God. Will each tower have different but equally challenging goals and problems? Sir Nightingale, I will be perfectly honest. Chris has not been super forthcoming with what the roles of the Dragon Towers are at this point in time. I can tell you that they will have different looks to them. Argo's tower was the first one to get that redone look with all of the ruins in the around the base of it. So Nate has probably seen the other towers because I know Corbin.
Corbett.
Okay, I did say it right the first time. I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Did I forget his name?
I know he's been working on it, and I know that they are all uniquely different, and that's the whole point. But Chris has not got into what's the point or purpose behind them yet.
Chris ties the lore up into his brain, and that's why every stream I'm like, okay, Chris, what have we not talked about in lore recently?
To be fair, though, Chris does write a lot of documents, and he probably wrote it on documents. It's probably just my fault for not reading those documents. Because Chris loves writing this stuff up in documents.
Then you need to tell me where those documents are, because I would like to go read them. I bet you actually they're in the shares. I should go poking through the shares. I haven't done that in a while.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah,
anyway.
I haven't either, so don't worry about it.
So Sir Night Fury. Oh my God, no, Sir Nightingale. I apologize. You're not a Sir Night Fury, although you could be furious at night. I don't know. At this point, we will have to say TBD from Chris. So ask us again next week. Okay. Are there 1047 is asking, are there any plans to make us be able to destroy items? Garbage can delete item option. So 1047, that will likely, if we implement a true trash system, that will likely be something that comes in conjunction with the item decay. We have talked about it. We've talked about it on stream with Chris before, and he was of the... I'm not sure what the best format is for it yet, because we had also talked about the ability of salvaging, for, broken weapons, or for gear that you don't really want but you find. What the best way to deal with that was, has not yet been determined. So absolutely, I would say that we are still thinking about it. On the community Trello, on the community request Trello, we do actually have a couple of cards that are sort of dedicated to the trash and the salvage. So are dedicated to the trash and salvage ideas. So if you have a preference for one over the other, I highly recommend that you actually go to the Trello board, vote, comment, share your opinion, because that'll help us when we're planning figure out what makes sense and in what order. Yeah. Why don't, Nate, you give us a little bit of an insight? You know, we just talked about what Corbett was doing. What about you? What have you been working on? I know you've been splitting time between Savage and Toy Soldiers, which of course we kind of had a big major announcement yesterday, so a lot of us have been really focused on Toy Soldiers this week. But I know you've been doing.
Yes, I've been working on so Savage Lands. We've been trying to finish up and getting ready for John to put in the Force Gremlins. You guys, last time I was on, I showed those guys. They're the guys that were sitting by the fire and walking around the fire. So there's a couple more animations that were put in those. I've been doing a lot on Toy Soldiers as well because we do have the announcement. And also, we've been researching and trying to get ready for some new projects on the horizon. But as far as Savage Lands goes, I'm sorry, I've been working on additional characters in the game. We have a bunch of characters that we're waiting on to get in there. I'm trying to stay as far ahead as I can of the programmers so they don't have to wait on us to get animations completed. So I believe Chris did, I'm sure I can say it because Chris, I believe, did talk about the Psycho Trolls in one of his streams.
Yes,
and Psycho Troll is actually a character that I think is pretty badass and pretty cool. I wish I could show it. They're just not in the game right now, and I can't bring up Unity. But the Psycho Trolls are actually...
We're running the wrong version of Unity on that computer still.
Probably. The Psycho Trolls are really awesome, though. They're trolls. They're really skinny trolls who they look like they've just been tortured. They have like this metal, just like metal barbed wire rolling all through them. Look like they've been had surgery, and they look like they had blades that were like surgically put on their elbows, and that's how they attack. And so we have some ideas of if you kill them, you'll be able to take their swords and either use them as knives or either
dismember them
and actually use the swords and create like dual wielding swords and such.
He did say that he had been talking to. This was a couple weeks, and it may have actually even been on the stream where he mentioned that you got first introduced the trolls. He did talk about the fact that he was considering dual wielding and if that was possible. That could be very interesting.
It's definitely possible to do. It just takes time to implement things. And
All right. Well, so what the other? Actually, I was going to say, do they kind of look like the dude from The Hobbit, who's got the after I don't know, he loses his arm and he jams a pike through it or like a big metal.
Oh.
Did you see The Hobbit?
Yes, I did. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, I don't know the orc's name, but at least you know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
So.
No, a bit something like that. Like it looks like he had surgery, but he has a normal arm, and then coming out like the back of his elbow, going this way, you can actually see the blades. So it's like more of like attached to his forearm, and then sticking out his elbow.
Oh, so he would actually be able to like jab it down.
Yeah, so it's like a blade that goes back, so he would swipe this way, or he could jab down. In fact, one of his attacks, he rolls two of them up and comes down.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But if you go up close, if you ever get to see one, which you probably will if you're attacking him, like you just see his face, it's all distorted. He's literally got barbed wire metal plates like all in his face, and just looks like he was some, I don't know, science project that just went wrong. So
I can't wait to hear Chris's backstory for him. I wonder if he was like a knight who somehow got blasted with magic, and that's how we'll see. We will see how Chris decides to explain this one away. I love hearing Chris's lore logic.
I think we just lost our guide here. He just disappeared.
Uh-oh.
Now we're lost. Oh, there he is.
No.
He just popped back in.
Oh, that's weird. Must have been a momentary lag there. All right. Or poor Marine has gotten slightly turned around. To be fair, when Sean and I went yesterday, we got slightly turned around. Not because of Sean's fault, but because I refused to use my real character when I'm testing stuff. And of course, we were on a test server, and so I didn't have any of my gear. So I was really slow, and I feel bad. Heart, Sean. Our mods are really good. They take amazing care of the forums, and they put up with my spazzing when I'm like, I need this, or what about this, or oh my god.
Nice.
Yes, exactly. So Aussie D Freak just asked, are we planning on a true dedicated server system instead of just multiplayer? Aussie, this is absolutely something that we are very much working on right now. We do not have any ETA, but the goal is to actually allow server hosts to host a proper headless game at some point. So we're definitely working on that right now, and one of the upcoming conversations that we'll probably be hosting either through Trello or on the forums will also be the type of options that you guys would like to be able to do when you're hosting. So it's not just, you know, like control. Well, you'll probably never be able to say day only because there are enemies and things that happen at night. So you're going to want that. But things like item decay, building demolition, building decay, etc. Those will be options on top of the ones that you already have, obviously, when you start a game. So those will be options that you have, and as we get closer to that, we'll definitely have more information for you guys. So definitely stay tuned on that. But it is moving up the list of things that we are working on. So yay, progress, yay! And cry, I did not throw Sean under the bus. I threw myself under the bus because I was the one who got us lost because he had to keep coming back to find me. So it's all good. Let's see, what else? Eury, I'm not even going to attempt it because I almost called you the wrong name again, has asked, will we ever be able to dye our armor or weapons or buildings to make us stand out in our own way? So where we are on that is there are armor variations that will go into the game sooner rather than later. In fact, you have been working, Nate, on some spirit wolves, if I recall correctly.
Did Chris talk about the spirit wolves?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
He's mentioned them, and because that's how we're going to be getting the white,
whatever
the spirit orbs, or I guess the things that we just talked about. So how is are their animations different? Did you have to redo any of them? Because they are a new wolf model, if I understand correctly.
Right. The animations will mostly stay the same. We may have some unique animations for them, but the animations can pretty much stay the same thing. They all use the same skeletal structure. Mm-hmm. So we can actually just swap out skins, so different wolves can play the same animations. But I do know that is something he talked about would be a completely different type of enemy, whereas it may actually go after other wolves rather than yourself first.
Yes.
And you could, so it will just walk past you if you just let it go. But if there's wolves around, it will actually go after those wolves. But you will need to attack it in order to get these orbs and make unique armor with them as well. It's a really good idea. He actually showed me he had orbs dual wielding. He had 2 orbs in his hand the other day, and it looked really cool. They look really nice.
Just to show off the fact that he could have 2 orbs.
I think he was a little excited that he could put things in both hands, and he was like, "Look." And yeah, he was a little excited about that.
We do know how excited Chris can get at times. Okay, but that's awesome. So yes, in a way, so the first sort of start to that is the different variations. In terms of customization of buildings, which I know we all know on the dev team that's something that you guys would like, the ability to dye through, you know, berries or other natural items that you find, that we are probably looking further in the early access process, and I realize that it's a very relative statement. I mean, we're 3 months in, and you look at all the stuff that we put in, and all the things that we keep talking about putting in, and they slowly get added. As on Trello board, you see me adding cards to the various lines as we go. But it is a process, and this is exactly what development is like, where all of a sudden you come back after being away for a week and go, oh my gosh, this game feels like it's completely different, or come back 2 months later and it's like, whoa, where did this thing go? And what I always feel like I'm relearning a game when I come visit the studio. I'm like, I don't even know where I am. I don't know what I was doing. Where's my tutorial? So we are still working on it. We got lots of stuff that we need to get in. We have lots of stuff that we're working on, and I know you guys are super patient about that. And the team wants to recognize that you guys are really patient with us and really supportive. So thank you so much for all of that, because if we had the ability to like stitch multiple hands and work on 2 computers at once, I think we would, but I don't think any of us have the brain power for that.
Yes.
So there's a tower. I'm hoping that means, because I'm seeing Sean post in chat that there's a tower.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
it
is.
Yes.
And
almost there.
It looks like you guys are heading up a huge hill, which makes me think you were at the correct tower. So
this is a very big island.
It is. We were wandering for about 45 minutes yesterday, trying to get there. So I think actually right before we get into the contest, I'm going to do another contest. I'm going to do a quick giveaway. Yay! So I think that we're going to use the keywords Spirit Orb for this one. And that means, oh, there we go. So Spirit, all one word, no caps, just like we normally do. And Nick, I'm giving you fair warning now. You are going to be expected to come up with the last giveaway keyword. So tuck that in your brain and sort of roll it around and rattle it around. So I'm not putting you on the spot this time. So make sure it's all one word, guys. There are no spaces, no caps, no adding me or anything like that. And we will give away a couple of copies of the game. I'm just going to let it fill up. And just before it goes running away, King of Geckos asked, are there any plans on making landmarks like massive bonfires or big signs so we don't get lost?
Landmarks.
Well,
landmarks are always talked about. And
yes,
I can definitely tell you resounding yes. I was about to say that I was actually quite impressed that Marine was able to find this tower and get around the map, because that is one of the most challenging things in this game, is actually getting around and not getting lost.
And we see on almost every stream where Chris was leading that inevitably Chris would mean to go in one place and then he'd be like, oh, and hey, I totally found this location all by myself and I didn't get lost while getting here. So, yes. Part of it is, one of the big changes that we made a couple of patches ago was the introduction of the great big huge stone pillars towards the middle of the island, so you knew when you were in the sort of middle of the island area. What do you use the most yourself, Nate, to try and find your way around the island? How do you navigate?
That's an unfair question, because I always end up cheating. I end up opening up Unity and then looking at the map itself and using it as a guide. And I kind of try to see where I'm at, like I see a landmark, and then I'm like, okay, so if I'm at that tower, I just need to head straight this way, and I know I'll run into something. So, and I do use the compass as well. So I'll use the sun and the compass to try to like navigate where I'm going.
Nice.
But I can tell you that I know one of the ideas as well is Chris is putting in these orbs, and he wants the orbs to be able to be seen from far away. So that way you can throw down some orbs and that you won't get as lost. I do know that we have talked several times about going in and revamping the island and putting some new stuff in it. And well, I mean, and they are. They're putting the new towers in, and there are some other new buildings and stuff that I believe that are going to be going in here soon. So, yeah, I mean,
lots of things. There's
yes.
lots of things. So
have
yet to.
It's definitely talked about getting landmarks in, so you don't get lost as much.
That's fair. All right, and I'm going to pick my winners here. I should have done that while you were talking. That would have been the smart thing to do. Oh well. So I'm going to pick 3 winners, and then we're going to get into the awesome contest that Chris decided to leave you guys with while he went away. Excuse me. For the weekend. And our 3 winners are Zombie Smash, Succubus, and Sir Nightingale. So please, guys, if you just won, make sure you message me some point after the stream or by the end of the stream. After the stream is over, I will message you with your code. You can, if you already have a copy of the game, send it to a friend. If you stream or do videos and have your own community, you are more than welcome to give it away to one of your community members. Our point in this is we want to be able to share Savage Lands with you guys and have you help us spread the word. So it's totally up to you. All right. So, since you guys are actually at the Befallen Tower, or you were, I'm not sure if you're still there.
Still
okay,
here.
Cool. It's such a pretty sunset. Why don't we talk a little bit about the contest? So, Chris came to me this week and said he wanted a way that you guys could directly influence and impact the development of the Sunderdial. And so, he would like to give you guys the opportunity to actually name the Dragon Tower. Wow. So, because we are slowly starting to get named places and whatnot. So, I have a form all set up for you. They are about to put this into chat under contest. Contest will run until June 23rd, which is a Tuesday at midnight PST, and at that point I'll just go in and close it. And that'll actually allow Chris a day to read through everything, read through all your suggestions. He's not going to know who has suggested what. He will be shown a blind list. But when you make a suggestion, you have the option to also give him a little bit of reasoning as to why he should choose your name. So if there's a lore reason that you've come up with, or something funny or anything like that, you can include it in your submission. And as part of it, not only will the name appear in the actual game, or sorry, in the game, when all the lore is written, you will get a special thank you in the Savage Lands game credits once they're actually added to the game, which they have not been yet. So, if you are interested, all the details will be going up on the Steam page or in the Steam community on the website as soon as we're done with the stream, but you can actually go check out the official submission process right now. You can also make additional or multiple suggestions. If you suggest the same thing once, or more than once, identically, it's only going to count once. I will just merge them all together. But if you have different ideas that you would like him to consider, go ahead, suggest them. It is completely up to you. We're trying it. If it works out really well and all that, then maybe we'll do more of these in the future. So there is that, and that is your direct way that you can contribute to Savage Lands and be immortalized in it.
That's awesome.
So hopefully you're kind of excited about that. I'm just waiting for stuff to click through on the chat. All right. So going back, so make sure, guys, if you have questions for Nate regarding animation stuff, whether it's animation that's currently in the game or an animation that you might like to see in the future, Nate is primarily or completely responsible, I guess, for all the player animation.
Feel free to tell me animations you hate, too.
Yes, because Chris, they will probably actually want to go and fix them. Yeah, so make sure you at us, and I will convey them to him. All right.
Yeah, definitely. There's one thing you make all these animations and you go through and you hope that everyone likes them. There's definitely some animations that I see in the game that I cringe over, but have plans on later on going and fixing. But definitely anybody that ever sees something and be like, "Wow, that's horrible," well, send it my way, because either I didn't see it or I will definitely put on my list to get fixed sooner.
Because, I mean, there are times where you don't necessarily have a big major project that you're working on. Like, you're not constantly working on characters, like new characters and stuff like that, or improvements. So, and
especially like right now with Savage Lands, since I am quite a bit ahead right now. The programmer's got a lot on their plate, and so I can actually slow down, which is why I'm stepping over and helping Toy Soldiers out a little bit. But on a daily basis, I still go over and I do a little Savage Lands, and so if there's anything out there, let me know, and I would definitely like take a look at it. Again, there are a lot of animations there that I see and I'm like, ooh, that needs to be fixed, but we'll get to it.
We will. And in fact, having a community source list that Nate can pull from, just like all of the stuff that we have on Trello, it helps us. In fact, I think there might actually be an animation card on there. And if there isn't, we can always create one. We can just have everybody put their thoughts into that specific card, if that would help for you. I want to say that there's a card, but I'd have to go double check. So if not, we can make it for you.
Speaking of animation that is just completely silly, I was just watching some people jump around. The jump animation. Yeah. If anyone's ever seen that one look really goofy, there's a little fixes I can go in and do that, which I will plan on doing a little bit, but I just haven't gotten to. But yeah, they always look really silly when they jump around.
They kind of do.
See, but, right there.
It's good. It's good amusement.
That's awesome.
All right. I got that one. Next one. Where are we? Certain Nightingale asked, will there be other planes, sort of like the Oblivion in the Elder Scrolls? At this point, probably not. But there are going to be some interesting experiences with Kerr's encounter. I believe it all takes place on this particular plane of existence, but once we unlock magic in the world, who knows what's going to start happening or what could happen in future encounters with other boss battles, because Kerr is only the first one of that sort of... Chris called him a raid, but I don't know that that's like not necessarily a World of Warcraft raid type thing, but that sort of level of encounter is what we're going for with Kerr. So TBD on that. Let's just go with TBD. Now, Osiris has asked, for you specifically, Nate, what is your favorite animation character that you've done for Savage Lands?
My favorite one I've animated? Ooh.
I actually asked you a similar question to this last time, and you said you couldn't talk about it, but I couldn't remember. I can't remember if that was because it was a Toy Soldiers character that we hadn't announced yet, or if it was something that hadn't been added to the game yet.
Yes, that's right. So, my favorite character I've ever done, which was just announced on Toy Soldiers, is I got to do He-Man riding Battle Cat, and that was amazingly fun. So
I can see why you might have enjoyed that.
So, and to see the trailers out there and see He-Man riding Battle Cat is just, let me tell you, that is awesome. But of all my animations I've ever done, He-Man riding Battle Cat, yeah, that was great. And that was a lot of fun, too. And Savage Lands, I had a lot of fun doing the dragon, but there's still a lot I want to fix with the dragon. The dragon definitely is not correct yet. So there's a lot of fixing I want to do in the dragon. I'm trying to think, what else? The skeletons were kind of fun, but they're bipeds. I did enjoy the Psycho Troll. I didn't do all the animations of the Psycho Troll. We actually used the animations. We had them for a while. But I did go in and change some of them, and then I did do some unique ones for him. And working on him has been a lot of fun, just because he's such a different character. A lot of times you have characters, they have claws, and they scrape, and they scratch. And you have other characters, like I just got swiped on the screen. They sit there and they swing a sword, or The Psycho Troll is just like a psycho creature, so he just gets down and he's pounding the ground and he's going crazy and he's got these long knives and he just comes up and just the way that he has to attack was just, it was a little challenging, but it was a lot of fun. So it's like, it's totally different from any other character that I got to animate, a biped that is. And so I can't wait for him to get into the game. He's going to be a lot of fun. And he's also going to bring more to the game too. In fact, you can slice off his arms and use them as weapons. So that would be cool.
My stream just totally caught up to you, like, miming the animation. that was amazing, Nate. I'm not gonna lie. Of course, no, don't apologize.
I'm an animator. When I get up, I'm animating. You gotta get up. You gotta video yourself, and you gotta like move around. You gotta know how that stuff moves. You know.
Well, and I mean that's the bonus of bigger studios having mocap right there and actually being able to bring in actors to do all this stuff. But I love the fact that you just did that on stream. That was awesome. So, Ruined Deckard commented that he absolutely loves the way the crippled skeletons move, and that he hopes that the animations continue to excel in that type of direction. So
the way the skeletons move?
Yeah, I think he's talking about the oh my god, the guys without armor.
Yes. I gotta say something.
Skeleton 01.
Skeleton 01. That's all I know them because I think there's one that's defiled. I don't know.
Yes,
the most basic skeleton. I gotta tell you, that skeleton. We've got here at Signal. We got one other animator. Her name is Melissa, and she came in as entry level, basically an intern, and that was the first animation she did for us, and. It's an amazing animation. Like having an intern come in and I'm like, look, we're doing the skeleton. He's got to be all broken and I want him walking kind of just weird. And she just gave me this look like, sure. And she went out and videoed herself, came back and she worked on it. It took her, I don't know, probably a little over a day. And it came out and I was like, yes, that's it. And when Savage Lands first came out, we were watching some of the streams. And you could just tell she had this proud moment. It was amazing. We had one of these
really awesome.
Guy playing Savage Lands, and he was walking around, and all of a sudden, one of those skeletons just comes walking at him, and he just starts screaming on the top of his lungs. He's like, "Oh my God! Look at this thing! Look at the way it rocks!" Ah! It was amazing. She felt so good. And I was like, "That was you, Melissa. That was all you." That was a really good moment for her.
Yes. I have never heard that story before. That is really cool.
Yeah, she's helped quite a bit on some of the Savage Land stuff, and for an intern, and she's now hired on. We hired her because she's done such a great job, but she does amazing work. And yeah, so that skeleton is all her, and we definitely keep going in that direction. I thought she did a great job on it.
Cool. Definitely, please pass Ruin's comments on to her. That is so cool. I wonder if she'd be okay if I could snag the source video, because that would be I think that would be really cool to sort of be like, here's the source video that she worked from, and then here's the ultimate animation. Because seeing in a human being is kind of neat. I'll talk to her when I come down next week about that.
You're gonna be here next week?
Yes, nice. I am. Hey, surprise! Actually, complete awesome segue to that. For those of you who may not have been around for a couple weeks, there will be more information about this coming up. But of course, next week is the 24-hour stream of Savage Lands, and that was my I know, in studio at that.
In studio?
E3. Oh yeah.
You're gonna be here.
I'm gonna be at the studio for 24 hours.
Good luck.
Yep. It'll probably get a little weird
we'll
right
bring
around
a lot of beer
2
for
o'clock. Oh no, beer puts me to sleep. Probably get weird around 2 o'clock when the cleaners come in. I'm just gonna put great big huge notes on the door that says "Do not enter room." So, but it's all good. Let's see. So that will come out. We'll have more details about the start time and whatnot come out next week. I haven't quite sorted that all out yet. I'm gonna actually get down to the studio to do some of that stuff. But there was something else that I was going with that. I could have sworn I had a point. I think there was a question that I had looked at, and who knows? My brain has just kind of gone off.
It's all good.
King Frederick, at this point, there is not an opportunity for community members to design or contribute weapons or armor. I would say that potentially in the future, depending on how well the naming contest goes, that's something that we might consider doing. But of course, the most challenging thing is once you've got them designed, is then getting them to a point where you could actually implement them into the game. You guys have been hanging around the tower for a really long time. I'm really surprised that Kerr hasn't come and roasted you all.
I don't think it's in this build. That's why. I think this is still.
No, you're playing live. He is. You may just have been hiding, like out of his line of sight, or
we're gonna find out because he's
yeah,
right there. Sorry,
well,
I got my bow now already. We're ready to go.
Yeah. You try that, Nate.
Ahead,
you take.
I'm ready. Come
on. Okay. King of Geckos is wondering, are we planning on adding classes or anything to the game? Or do you like the current sort of anyone can be anything? Now, this is something that Chris has definitely talked about. The idea being when we add magic, you're not going to become a wizard yourself. The player character is not inherently magic. The world around you contains items which are magical, and you will be able to use or enhance items and use magic in that sense. He hasn't actually discussed spells at all. I do know that we've talked about enchanting items. That's come up when we're talking about like swords and stuff like that. But to this point, I think the idea which best works for Savage, and this could all change, of course, as we go through development, is that the player isn't magical inherently, but we'll have to see once we get that magic system in, because it is coming, as is winter.
Couldn't help yourself,
could you? No, I couldn't. I couldn't. You know the weird thing is I'm not a Game of I can't do Game of Thrones at all. I'm not a fan. I haven't read the books. I can't watch the show. Yeah.
Like you've never seen it at all?
No, I take that back. I saw the first episode. I saw the pilot when it first came out, and I'm like, nope, not for me.
My wife and I have been tortured right now because we haven't watched this past season at all. We're waiting because we want to binge watch it. We're gonna binge watch it and so yeah, we're totally waiting for it to be this weekend. Actually, tomorrow we're gonna start watching, and we're just gonna binge watch and watch the whole thing.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's not like. Have you read the books?
I have not.
Okay.
But
so,
I would like to.
No.
Oh no! Actually, I actually read the first one, but I haven't gotten on the other ones. And the first book was really good. Yeah. At least I thought it was.
I tried and I couldn't get to it. It's not. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's not for me, basically. Just not for me. So Maureen made a comment a while ago, so I'm just skipping back to make sure that I haven't missed anything, and I'm sure I have, and I apologize if I have. Can we make the mobs hit more often? They miss a lot or just stand there even in beta. Maureen, I think that's feedback that actually needs to go to the code team, and if that's the case, please make sure that you've actually commented on it on the forums sometime this week so I can actually pass that to them in my report to them next week. Okay? Thank you. I'm assuming you're listening while you are also in the game. So, yes. Why are they... Here's another question for you, Nate.
Yeah?
Why are the deers so derpy on the run? And that is from Osiris. Yes.
Derpy?
I do, by the way, love their butt wiggle that happens when you've maimed them really badly. I don't know if that's an intentional butt wiggle, but it's awesome.
That's because it's trying to blend animations when they get hit, and so they've got this like weird little like twitch out weird thing like yeah. That's not fully intentional, but that's just how it is. They are a little derpy right now, which I think he's trying to say is they are slow and they look sluggish. That's because Chris has turned down so they're easier to kill. So he's turned down slowed them down and made them so they're not so fast. And that's why they look like they kind of run like they're underwater. That's just because the speeds keep changing. Once everything gets solidified and they're like, okay, this is the speeds that we want, then I can go in and animate to those speeds and make it look better. But right now, he's just kind of playing with the speeds and stuff. So, what is all that racket?
It's going to be a continuous experience with those things where with an update, you know, as we fix one thing, sometimes something that we've adjusted to compensate for something that was broken gets way pulled out of whack. Best example is the hell, you know, right at the beginning of Alpha. Jackie fixed this bug and we have no idea what the bug was, and all of a sudden Chris loaded in and he was in a snowstorm and was dead 5 seconds later. And he's like, I think I might have to turn down snowstorms.
Yeah.
Which he did, but it was one of those, oh, well, that's an interesting experience. So definitely when we release new builds and they're in beta, if that kind of stuff, if you notice it, please make a comment, because 9 times out of 10 there are so many different moving parts that we can't always connect the lines. Like when we're staring at code, we don't always see, oh, if we adjust this whole thing is now out of whack. You know, we will get there eventually, but it's absolutely useful if you guys mention it to us. Mistakes that you find in spelling and the journal recipes, Sean does an amazing job at highlighting those and giving them to me to pass on. But if you guys see them, definitely, even if we come back to you and say, yes, that's a known issue, that's not a bad thing. That just means it's a good reminder for us that, hey, this thing that, yes, needs to be fixed still hasn't been fixed. Can you go take a look at what the status is and maybe poke it or update it or something like that? So we actually really appreciate when you guys do post issues that we do know about, because we're still tracking them. All of it is being tracked. All of it is, you know, we're trying to get this done as fast as possible, but it's an ongoing process for us when it comes to that kind of stuff. So game balance is definitely a work in progress.
Yeah. As many things.
Yeah. That's kind of game development in general is, and apparently Salvar wants to kill himself. Okay, so we are almost at the end of the hour. Why don't we start to do our last giveaway? Nate, what do you want the keyword to be?
Oh, keyword.
You know the thing that I told you to think about?
Oh, did you?
I did.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it can only be one thing. Animation.
Animation, all right. And that's not actually what you used last time. I'm trying to remember what...
12 principles of animation.
You did the 12 principles, which I don't think you actually said what they were. So the word, remember everybody, that you're entering in is animation. No capitals, all one word. Animation, singular, not animations. But while they are entering this in, why don't you tell us what the 12 principles actually are?
The 12 principles of animation?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the 12 principles are...
Remember?
Yeah, they came from basically the wise old men, which they call an animation. But Frank and Ollie from Disney, they actually put together, like years ago when they were doing a bunch of Disney animations, they put together these 12 principles that you're supposed to use in animation. And I do not remember all of them off the top of my head.
Okay, which ones do you remember? I mean, there are 12, so there's more than you can count out on your fingers.
Yes.
Which is how I remember things.
So first one is squash and stretch. If you ever watch like the old Disney or definitely Bugs Bunny, you'll see they're always squashing and stretching. So when they're jumping and they're landing and when they're going to run, they stretch them out and they make them look longer. And that just helps kind of like, it's more pleasing to the eye. So the first rule of animation is squash and stretch.
Okay.
Just trying to make it look nice and, I don't know, fun. Second is anticipation. Anticipation, not meaning like this big dramatic, like you can see the character and what he's thinking. Anticipation meaning before you do an action, there's got to be an action before that. So if you're going to jump, you should see someone kind of like crunch up and he goes down and then he jumps up. So you need to work on anticipation and getting your character to do a motion before he does the actual motion. Brings it to life, makes it look a little more real. Because in real life, you actually do that. Like if you're going to step to the left, you always move. You shift your weight to the right, and then you step to the left. So that's anticipation. You're moving this way, shifting the weight, and then you're taking a step.
Huh.
The third one is more about film, not so much about games, but it's staging. So you want to make sure you stage all your animations and they look pleasing and they look right. So if you have different characters in the on set or on the screen, you want to make sure that they are in the correct position. So if you have two guys talking, you don't want to see them just the sides of them. You actually want them tilted kind of towards the screen. Same thing they do in movies.
Cool.
There's straight ahead and pose-to-pose animations. Most animators do pose-to-pose type animations, and all that means is when you start animating, you just go straight through. So if you have a guy running and jumping, you just do these really strong poses throughout the animation, and then you go back and then you kind of go in between and you fill in the animations.
That makes sense.
That's number 4. Number 5 is follow through and overlapping. So overlapping is like a pendulum that swings like this. You don't just have something animated like this. A pendulum will swing out, and as it comes back, the tail end of it will swing back. So you'll see that overlapping. It's the same thing if you watch any Disney film, Pixar film, whenever they extend an arm, they don't just go boom. They always have like this flick. So it's always kind of like this. Rah. And so that's like, that's, what did I say? Sorry, the follow through. Sorry, I'm got other things like popping up on the screen. I'm like, so that's follow through, and then slowing in and out. So then you got you don't want things to be like a robot moving. You want things to come. So if you're putting up your arm, it's gonna slow, to a stop, not just go nyeh, 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 nyeh. Which I have actually seen a lot of beginner animators will just kind of make everything robotic.
Right.
Arcs, everything moves in arcs. I'm telling you, if you ever look at a Pixar or even just the latest Disney, like even Frozen, those animations are just amazing. And they take the 12 principles of animations to a whole new level. I mean, it is amazing. But if you watch, every movement they ever do is in arcs. When they turn their head, they don't just turn. It's always like an arc. It might even be slight, but there's always this arc that's going in. And animation is always in arcs because arcs are pleasing to the eye. So everything you do, you want things to arc and look nice. It's hard to do that in games because you got animations blending, so they don't always come out the way you want. But you're still always trying to get the arcs in there. And then we've got secondary animation, which is number 8. That's always something else moving. So like if you move to the left and you've got clothes on or whatever, you want that kind of like flapping in the wind and moving. Nothing moving at the same time. So like if you're looking up and you move your spine, you don't want everything to move at the same time. They should move kind of like one part of your spine moves, then the other part and the other part. They're kind of like offset to make it a little more natural rather than like a robot.
That makes sense.
Number 9, timing. Hey, you want to know the 12 principal animations. Here you go. Number 9, number 9 is timing. You want to make sure you time everything up. Like if you're doing a jump, you want to make sure like the beginning is fast and the middle is slow at the top and then fast when they come down. That's another big thing on especially beginning animators. They come in and like they go do a jump and it all looks like even. Like you get this guy that just is like, nyeh, nyeh, nyeh. And a jump should be like down fast, up fast, and then kind of hang in the air, then down fast, and then kind of land. So that's number 9, timing. Number 10, you think of Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner, exaggeration. Number 10 is exaggeration. You always exaggerate stuff. Cartoons do it to like over the top. Even in Savage Lands, you'll see things are always at least a little bit over exaggerated because when you're putting it on screen, if you're not over exaggerating, it just doesn't look right. Number 11.
It a little bit, right? Because as humans, when we move ourselves, or we move an object, it always is a bigger motion than you think it is, right? Yes,
totally. Just even the act of like turning and looking at something, a lot of people just make it like just moving the head. When you watch an animation, especially in like cartoons or Pixar, you'll almost always, just look at a Pixar movie. If they do like a turn of their head, they almost always close their eyes, squinch their face, and then look to the side. And like their shoulders come up, their head, their whole body comes down. So it's like this, yeah, kind of look. And it's almost in every animation. It's just it's one of those basics of animation, and they always do that. And that's exaggeration because you want to see that. And when you see it on film, it just looks natural. But no one ever looks to the right going, So number 11 is something that doesn't really apply to me at all. It's more of, I guess, Corbett, but it's solid drawing. So if you're a 2D animator, they want your drawings to be crystal clear. But it can kind of go in the same way, like in animation, it goes back to kind of posing. You want your poses to be super clear. If you stop anywhere in a Pixar animation, they have, like, you could just pause the film and you can, every pose that they have of the character is super clear. And that's huge for animation. And number 12 is appeal. Whatever you're animating, the person needs to be interested in it. So even in Savage Lands, if he's swinging a sword, you got to make it like, hey, that looks cool, or hey, that's, it looks like a sword swinging, and it's got to be clear.
Was just demonstrating in front of the camera.
Yes, that's where I got it from. So that's the 12 principles of animation.
Cool.
I don't know. There's a lot in there, but when you go through animation school, they tend to break that down, and you go through step by step, and you learn. But it gets to the point where, like, I used to have it actually at my desk, and I used to look at it just to make sure I'm hitting all those steps. And now I just kind of, it's ingrained, and I kind of just do it. So.
Well, because you've been working on this for a couple of years now, right? You're 3 years with 4?
Just about 4 years with Signal. Yeah, almost getting there, close.
That's awesome. And to think, you started your career as a gymnastics coach.
Yes, coached gymnastics for 10 years. Yes. And then,
if you want to hear the story behind that, guys, make sure you go check out, I think was it week 7 with you? I think it was week 7 when we first had Nate on, and you can hear his unique entry into the video game world, which actually makes a lot of sense. But all right.
Gymnastics.
You probably don't miss it that much, though.
I don't miss it at all. I mean, I miss the kids, and it was fun, but yeah, I don't miss it pretty much beyond that.
That's good, I think. I mean, I hope you're enjoying it. On that note, we are at the end of our stream. In fact, we're a little bit over, but that's okay.
My fault.
Do you have any parting words before I do my lovely spiel that I have to end every stream with?
No. I mean, I just hope that everyone enjoys the game, and keep getting up on the forums and I mean, we're definitely reading those. We're definitely going through on a daily basis. Even on the weekends when I'm not at work, we're still going through it. But we do look at all that stuff, so keep the input coming. Feel free to put stuff up there in animations you would like to see. If you see one of the creatures up there, you'd be like, oh, it'd be really cool if the creature could do this, or we might be able to do it, and I would probably enjoy animating it. I don't know, a wolf doing something really cool or something. I don't know.
Just be careful, because at some point they're gonna be like, so when do we get to see the wolves attacking the deer? Which I know is not entirely you. There's AI that's related to that, but we may have to do a little bit of that's actually this section.
Not making any promises, but still, ideas are always good.
Yes.
And coming our way.
And on that note, I remind you guys again that we are starting today the new contest for Name a Dragon Tower. It is the Befallen Tower, which the guys actually got to on stream and seem to have parked themselves at, which is kind of awesome. So that again will run until June 23rd, and all the details will be up on Steam momentarily and on savagelandsgame.com, which is our official website where you can always find the latest information about Savage Lands, what we are doing, what's going on in our wonderful world on the Sundered Isle. You can also follow us on Twitch by clicking the follow button on the channel that you're currently on. You can see us on Twitter at savagelandsgame. Or just at savagelandsgame. On Facebook at facebook.com/savagelandsgame. We do like our naming conventions with this title. Actually, with most of Signal's titles, we're really good with that. If you have missed a previous dev stream and you want to go back and check them out, we do have a dedicated playlist on the Signal Studios YouTube that you can find very easily. Those are linked every time we update. And if you joined us a little bit late today, that's okay. We will post the full dev stream for you tomorrow to go back and click through, because we always highlight with main questions and things like that. So key highlights, you can peruse them if you want to go back and check out what's coming out in the little preview of Update 12 that we talked about earlier today. Other than that, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me and Nate today. I'm sorry we couldn't give you some of the question answers that we normally do, since I do not have Chris here to pull things out of his brain. But he is, as I said at the beginning, off on a little bit of a vacation with his family, because everybody deserves that. So with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful time. I will see you guys next week for the 24-hour stream in the studio, which I'm sure we will have many special guests poking their heads in throughout the stream, at least until everybody else goes home and leaves me all by myself. And right around hour 20, I get weird. So this is going to be interesting. I'm going to be streaming. We're going to start a brand new world, brand new character, and we are going to see exactly what we can do to a world in 24 hours. So that will be open whenever you guys are interested in coming to join me. So until next week, guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And if you're excited about E3 as I am, we get to talk about that next week. So I'm stoked to see what things are announced next week. So, all right, bye guys. You can click the end button now.
Thanks. Wherever it is.
Oh dear Lord. No, seriously, you don't know where it is? It's right where you clicked to go live the first time.
Really?
Yes.